In the 3rd century AD, a Persian philosopher named Mani sat down to map out the world's greatest superpowers. He wrote that there were only 4 true empires on Earth: Rome, Persia, China, and Aksum. Yet, if you look through most modern history textbooks, you'll find plenty of chapters on Rome and China, while the kingdom of Aksum is barely a footnote. This was an African empire of towering stone obelisks, legendary wealth, and international trade networks that stretched from the Mediterranean all the way to India. They were the gatekeepers of the ancient Red Sea, a sophisticated naval power, and creators of a distinct written language. Today, we're rewriting the history books and journeying to the Horn of Africa to uncover the lost grandeur of the Kingdom of Aksum. The Kingdom of Aksum emerged around the 1st century BC and flourished for nearly 1,000 years, finally declining around 940 AD. Its heartland was situated in the fertile highlands of modern-day northern Ethiopia and Eritrea. However, at its imperial peak in the 4th and 5th centuries, Aksum's borders exploded outward. They conquered territories across the Red Sea into modern-day Yemen and parts of Saudi Arabia, effectively controlling the maritime choke points between the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean. Aksum was an ancient economic titan. Its prime location allowed it to control the trade routes connecting the Roman Empire, India, and the interior of Africa. Through their bustling port city of Adulis on the Red Sea coast, Aksumites traded in high-value luxury goods: African ivory, gold, emeralds, exotic animals, and frankincense. Aksum was incredibly advanced administratively. They were the first sub-Saharan African civilization to mint their own coins. Made of gold, silver, and bronze, these coins were stamped with the faces of Aksumite rulers and written in both Ge'ez, their native tongue, and Greek, the international business language of the time. These coins weren't just for local use. Archaeologists have dug up Aksumite gold coins as far away as Israel, India, and China, proving the global reach of their merchants. The Aksumites were master architects who specialized in monoliths. Instead of building pyramids, they carved massive single pieces of granite into towering pillars known as stelae. The largest of these monuments, the Great Stele, stood over 100 feet tall and weighed roughly 520 tons, making it one of the largest single pieces of stone humanity ever successfully quarried and erected in antiquity. What makes these obelisks extraordinary is their design. They are carved to look like multi-story skyscrapers, complete with faux windows, doors, and intricate beams, representing the architectural style of royal Aksumite palaces. Aksum played a pivotal anchoring role in the history of the world's major religions, making geopolitical decisions that fundamentally reshaped both Christianity and Islam. In the early 4th century AD, long before most of Europe converted, Aksum's brilliant ruler King Ezana embraced Christianity. This made Aksum one of the very first nations in the world to adopt Christianity as its official state religion, second only to Armenia and concurrently with the Roman Empire under Constantine. King Ezana immediately replaced the pagan sun and moon symbols on Aksumite coins with the Christian cross. In the 7th century AD, when the Prophet Muhammad and his early followers were facing violent persecution in Mecca, Muhammad told his disciples to flee to the African kingdom. He stated, "If you go to Abyssinia, Aksum, you will find a king under whom none are wronged." Enjoying the video? Please support us by smashing that like button and dropping us a comment. The Christian king of Aksum welcomed the Muslim refugees, granted them political asylum, and refused bribes from Mecca to hand them over. This event, known as the First Hijra, allowed early Islam to survive its most fragile moment. Without Aksum's protection, the history of Islam might have looked drastically different. Though the empire faded over 1,000 years ago, Aksum's cultural DNA directly shaped the modern world in 3 profound ways. Aksum developed Ge'ez, a highly sophisticated writing system. Unlike many ancient languages, Ge'ez is an abugida, meaning each character represents a consonant and vowel combination. While Ge'ez is no longer spoken in daily life, it remains the liturgical language of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, and it serves as the direct linguistic ancestor and structural foundation for Amharic, the primary language spoken by over 30 million people in Ethiopia today. While the legendary story of Kaldi, the goat herder who noticed his goats getting energetic after eating red berries, is a folk tale, the historical reality is that coffee cultivation and consumption originated in the very Ethiopian highlands ruled by Aksum. The trade networks established by Aksum laid the agricultural foundation that allowed coffee to eventually spread to the Arabian Peninsula and become the multi-billion-dollar global staple it is today. According to deep-seated Ethiopian tradition, Aksum is the final resting place of the Ark of the Covenant. The story goes that Menelik Vim, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, brought the Ark to Aksum for safekeeping. Today, a small, heavily guarded chapel in Aksum, the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion, claims to house the biblical artifact. This spiritual inheritance directly inspired the medieval Ethiopian empires to cut magnificent rock-hewn churches directly into the mountain earth, preserving Aksum's architectural genius into the modern era. The fall of Aksum was not a sudden explosion, but a slow economic strangulation. In the 7th and 8th centuries, the rapid expansion of the Islamic caliphates transformed the geopolitics of the region. As the caliphates seized control of the Red Sea maritime routes and the ports of the North African coast, Aksum found itself cut off from its primary source of wealth, international trade. Deprived of its global markets, the empire was forced to retreat inland, away from the coast and deep into the rugged, protective Ethiopian highlands. The urban, cosmopolitan trading superpower gradually decentralized, shifting into a rural, agricultural kingdom. By the 10th century, internal rebellions and changing trade winds brought a quiet end to Mani's fourth great global power. The kingdom of Aksum proves that history is far vaster and more diverse than the stories traditionally told in the West. Aksum didn't copy Rome or Persia, it competed with them as an equal, creating a unique African civilization that mastered the sea, reached the skies with stone skyscrapers, and minted gold in its own name. The empire fell, but its foundation was indestructible. It left behind an independent nation that successfully resisted European colonization for centuries, a living ancient language, and a spiritual tradition that remains vibrant to this day. When we look at the monoliths of Aksum or hold an Ethiopian coin, we aren't just looking at the remnants of a kingdom. We are looking at a forgotten superpower whose legacy continues to echo across the global stage. Enjoyed the video? Please support us by smashing that like button and dropping us a comment.